Hello. I do believe we are live. Hello, MAGWest. What is up? It is Friday night. I am feeling all right, especially because this is your My Hero Academia panel. I am your host, Elisa Melendez. I am quirkless, but I am here with Anairis, Quiñones, and Zeno Robinson, who play Mirko and Hawks, respectively. How are you doing? Hello.
Hello. I'm excellent. I'm doing blessed. I feel good. How are you?
I mean, I'm chill.
Chilling.
I'm happy. Friday night, we are vibing. Really quick, just an opener. This is not a My Hero Academia related question at all. But what are y'all getting into this weekend?
Hopefully, my bed. That is,
I was about to say hibernation.
That is currently the plan, is to try to sleep. There is a convention called Complex Con that's happening. I don't know if there's still tickets, but I may go, or I may sleep. One of the two.
Are you a guest there?
I'm not. I would just go for giggles. Because I've never been, for another life experience. But I know the Hypeland booth has Hypeland has a booth there, and they did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Just did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pop-up, which I was at, and they have like these exclusive Yu-Gi-Oh! Hats. So I might try to pull up and get me a Dark Magician hat if I can.
Dope.
Probably. It's probably my plan. Take my dad out. My dad's birthday just passed, so take my dad out to
happy belated birthday to him.
Some food. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Anairis, getting into anything fun?
No, same thing. I was at YomaCon this past weekend, which was really fun. Like, it was my first time being in the Midwest.
Yep.
I've never been in that area. I'm usually in the East Coast, so it's like, oh, nice. Okay, cool. And it was cold, and there was much fun. And I'm just in hibernation mode, and I'm just like, okay, well, I am going to probably sleep this weekend, or I won't. I probably will just watch stuff on Netflix. I've been watching Never Have I Ever.
Ooh.
Terrible show, but sometimes you gotta entertain yourself with bad things.
Yeah, and just put something on just to watch it, just to have
it. Exactly. I mean, because there's no voice acting going on, so I can't be sitting there listening and right. Why did she say it like that?
Right.
It's all on camera.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay.
To worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like work brain off. I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
Oh, you are muted, Elisa.
Is it the cat? The cat's the
cat's taking over this whole thing. Okay, so we need to match the lip flaps here.
Yeah.
He's probably.
So he's like, oh gosh darn it! Can you hear me? Dang it! Shoot!
No! Oh no!
Oh, we both had
no. No! Why is this happening?
What I'm saying.
Checking.
Oh, I went straight to the expletive.
It could have been that too. I don't know.
Right. If Elisa puts her questions in the chat, we can bounce them off of each other until she's ready. Otherwise, I can.
Check.
Oh, there you are.
Okay, cool. I can't hear you yet, but 1 sec as I switch over to my stuff. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, I apologize. My cat has absolutely.
It was the cat.
just destroyed my whole
setup.
My whole situation here. Apologies.
Okay. No,
but what I did want to do is I want to set up with a question while I get sorted. You mentioned going to cons and things being interesting, because now we're kind of in a situation where, hey, this con is virtual. There are some folks coming back to more in-person stuff, but since we've been in this panera, this pan dulce, this panaderia, how has that affected your particular work ethic and specifically working potentially on a show like My Hero, or generally in other productions? How has this affected not only your work process, but also the kinds of work you've been getting while I troubleshoot?
My Hero was the second show I worked on during the pandemic. The first one being Pokemon Twilight Wings, and that was just 1 hour session. I forget how long that was now. And it was interesting because it was April, May that we recorded it, and we were still kind of figuring out how to do remote recording. That's back when Funimation was using those actor kits and not really using Source Connect, which is a way that you can connect to actors and get their audio over the internet. And I remember they had me get, because I don't live in Texas. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, I decided to be with my parents in Florida. And so they were like, hey, so can you pick up a actor's kit? And I'm like, no, I can't. And they're like, oh, okay. So they just were like, okay, well, what's your setup? And I'm like, well, my setup is a Neumann TLM 103 and a Polo Twins. Like, oh, yeah, I guess I'll work.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, they're like, I guess
just the industry.
fine. Yeah, and they're like, that's fine, I guess, whatever, it'll work. And I was like, okay. But I remember they had me downloading like Adobe Premiere, and we were recording it on Adobe Premiere, which I'm not used to at all because I use Adobe Audition. And they were having me sync it up and everything, and it was so stressful at the time. But then like flash forward to a year now, you know, when I got to revisit Marco this year for season 5, and like, you know, it was so easy. We just connected on Source Connect. Just like, okay, cool, let's do the lines, bam, bam. We were done in 15 minutes, and it was like, less stressful. But
yeah,
it's interesting how much things have changed. And you know, I got to be in the studio before all this happened, and there's nothing like the magic of being in studio. Like you really, like, you don't worry about like how loud your parents are in the background, because I have Spanish parents and they do not know how to and you don't worry about airplanes or anything. You're just like in the booth, you're chilling, and you're just, you know, totally in this world, this imaginative world. And it's just so easy to be focused on that and be focused on your work. And I think you kind of lose some of that with remote recording. And I think that's kind of the only L. But also it's amazing that, you know, now we can work with anyone all over the world. Like that's really dope.
Yeah, kind of agreed. Like, really, remote recording changed the scope of voiceover in a way that was kind of unprecedented. A lot of places were very isolated. Like you had your LA talent, you had your Texas talent, and you had your like New York talent, and you had like everybody was kind of doing their own thing, their own separate pools, their own separate auditions and everything. But now everything is shared between everyone because remote recording makes it possible to record with anybody. And I think that's like a beautiful thing. In working on a show like My Hero, I started in studio. I did Hawks in the movie in studio, and then
in LA, right?
Yeah, in LA, at MAGWest, and then I think the game in studio, and then everything else has been from home. Literally everything else.
All the chunky stuff.
Yeah, all the and kind of like similar to what Anairis said, like working at home, it takes a bit more focus for me to really lock into the world, because my booth is made of PVC pipe and blankets, and it's created to do this work from home. But there's like, for me, there's nothing like a room that is curated for your art. So I love recording from home because it's very accessible, and the opportunities, and it's just up to me as an artist to be able to get myself there to do the extra work that a studio, I think, would take me less time to get into. But yeah, I really enjoy the how, and like I can record like back to back at home. Like in studio, there's like travel time. Yeah, when you're in LA, it's like I can't plan it for that time because I have to get to the studio. So can we do it for like 6:30? But at home, I can just do back to back to back to back, which I really like. But yeah.
Yeah, and the thing with My Hero especially, it's, you know, it's a action-packed show, and you get to do a lot of efforts, a lot of battle cries and all that stuff, especially with my character. She's like always yelling.
Yes.
And the sucky thing about being at home is that we have to mind our own game, which, you know, yeah, we have to do this thing called like writing the game, where, you know, maybe say like your character says something quiet at the beginning, and then like, starts getting loud and you have to like turn it down as you're doing it, and it's so hard to keep your focus on what
Yeah,
you're
it
doing.
takes you immediately out of
And-
the
yeah, immediately, and you're like, I can do this. I can be myself and the character at the same time.
I don't know if you've ever had to do like a dynamic scene. I'm pretty sure you have, but where it's
Oh
like
yeah,
you have to stay in a moment and then you have to like break that moment to get their gain and then get back in it. I think I've done
yeah,
it a lot
yeah,
of times on Vanitas where he's like, "What are you talking about?" No way. And like I have to like be like, and then she'd be like, "Okay, I got it.
yeah,
No way."
exactly.
It's like it's tough.
It's so hard.
It's interesting because like I sometimes end up doing some commercial work and it's
Mhm.
like the benefits of that are like, I do this in my fuzzy slippers. This is dope as hell. I just
Yeah.
be in my
Uh-huh.
pajama, whatever. And then I'm like fighting, and then I'm in a flight path. I'm fighting with cicadas. The walls are paper thin. I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know if this is quite what it was cut out to be. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But when it comes to scenes like that, like writing the gain and stuff, are there any kinds of scenes that you do on My Hero specifically that you have like the most fun doing? Like you see it in a script and you're like, yes, this is gonna be a good day.
Usually for me, it's when Hawks gets to be the like not cool. Like Hawks is usually cool and usually like always like this all the time, and then he gets serious, and that's where I'm like, today's gonna be a good day, because he's gonna break the facade a little bit and get serious. And I think when I do it, it changes his tone a little bit from always being cool to being very strategical and methodical, and it kind of changes his tone and texture, and I just love being able to do that with him.
Yeah, figure out that switch up. It's always
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
For me, I mean, I've only had the two scenes with Marco so far, but I was always looking forward to the scenes where she would be in battle because, I was just psyched to yell. Like I was super psyched to do it. And I didn't really get to do it in her first scene in season 4, but I did get to do it this season 5, and it was so fun.
Yes,
So fun. Like
this was me.
yeah, it
I was
it seems like everyone liked it, which I'm glad, I feel like people at first had like mixed opinions on my Mirko, and I think this kind of solidified me more
yeah.
in my role, and I'm only ever more confident in how I can handle the role because, I've been growing
It's like you
in
told them
between
in the beginning.
sessions.
You said wait till you see what I do. You ain't even heard enough.
Literally
Yeah.
It's like
underestimating me.
How do you deal with that pressure, like voicing like a video game or an audiobook or something? You're kind of generating the character yourself in a lot of instances, but this is somebody who's already been fully fleshed and pre-beloved. So how do you deal with that pressure coming in as an English voice actor, especially on something that, I mean, I wasn't a big anime person, but like I latched onto My Hero as like, yeah, this is baby's first anime. We're gonna ride this thing.
Oh, hold up. Microphone's sounds
yeah.
off.
Something happened.
Hmm.
Well, to I think
Yeah, go ahead.
answer your question, it was I feel like once you're selected, you're like, oh, okay, well, whoever's in charge of like making sure these characters are represented accurately chose me. And
Yeah.
they picked whatever artistic choices I made, and that's kind of also the beauty in having a director is that like with Colleen, like and I'm sure like Anairis can test this, but I'm also sure like you as an artist, you probably had your own like ideas of what you wanted to do with the character. Um, like and Colleen as our director never make sure we don't fly solo. And
Hmm.
always has a contribution to how the character should be played, to kind of guide us into what she how she thinks it should be portrayed for us. So, and it's also like taking power as an artist and being like, this is what I want to do with the character. I was picked because of my initial artistic choices, so I want to continue to further flesh out those things so that I can make this character my own. Even though there's already a particular portrayal, that's that artist, and me as an artist, I want to step in and put my stamp on it as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Because one of my first breakout roles was for Pokemon and Twilight Wings, so I had that pressure from the beginning, and especially with Marco, and it just kind of kept adding on from there, right?
Mm.
And I think, it's kind of trusting your vision, like Zeno said, and just also kind of trusting that, I guess to get a bit religious, it's like, if it wasn't meant for you, it wouldn't come for you. I'm a firm believer that, uh, you can't really avoid things that are meant for you. And, I never thought I would get Mirko at all. Like at the time that I got that audition, I was barely getting auditions at all for anything. So I was surprised I got that audition and even more surprised that I booked. So I just kind of see it as, oh, well, I'm blessed enough to be a part. Yeah, you were rooting for me from the beginning. Thank you. But no, it's like a blessing to be able to portray the character and, figure out how to make that character yours. And I know I spent a lot of time doing that. It wasn't just, oh, Mirko's this angry badass lady. Like it's figuring out her nuances as well. And my choices are what resonated with the director. And I think Colleen, she has her own vision, but she's also very cognizant of the Japanese vision as well. So I think we're in good hands with the production, and that's why this dub is so beloved.
Mm-hmm.
I barely see anyone trash talking it, to be honest.
Yeah, same.
Oh, we can't hear you. Yep.
I think her
Malo.
her cat is somewhere like cutting every wire like underneath her desk. Like I'm away for you.
And it's like, meow, meow. I have one. Now you must give me attention.
Right. Feed me.
I think if you get your cat a snack, this will all work itself
Yeah.
out.
Oh, you're a little faint there.
Yeah, you're very muffled.
Yeah. No,
No,
all's
you're
good.
good.
We're
You're good.
we're chilling. We're chilling.
Chilling.
Is
I'm
there
trying to think.
anything?
It's like, how do you host?
Yeah. Is there anything that like for you, Anairis, like as Mirko, is there anything that you would do like differently with the character? Like how like us as actors, we initially start a scene and then we go back and we watch it and we're like, if I just had another opportunity, or like if you could like change like one thing about like your performance, like whether it's like give her like, I don't know, like a different flavor, maybe a higher pitch, a lower pitch, or like what is like one thing if you had like all the freedom in the world you would do with Mirko?
So I think it's the end of season 4, that first scene with her, and I think I was already like slaving over it because I feel like I was kind of held back on doing my best just because we had like so much technical difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't completely focused.
Mm.
And I always thought that, oh man, I wish I made her voice maybe a bit more deeper, and I
Mm.
leaned more into like the gruff, a bit of a maybe roughness, like
Mm.
tomboyish, but not like fully tomboy.
Mm.
And I feel like that probably would have solidified her more. But I
Mm.
also feel like I wasn't 100% sure how to handle her at that time, and
Mm.
I was more confident with handling her the second
Going
time.
back.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever you first approach a character, even if it's something that you auditioned for and booked and whatever, you still have to kind of get cozy with it.
I
And so
agree.
the first few scenes or even episodes can be a little rough, and then you
Yeah.
find your groove.
It's interesting because I feel like exactly the same. Do you think like in between like season 4 and 5 you were able to be like, okay, that's what I did. Now, do you think you were able to do that? Like, do you think like if they're really attentive can hear a difference between your first portrayal and your current portrayal? Portrayal, not betrayal.
Yeah, no, I get you. No,
Yeah.
I for sure. I mean, I think I noticed it in the reaction as well. Like people were way more hyped for
Yeah.
her with season 5, and rightfully so. But
Yeah.
I feel like the end of season 4, you weren't really seeing her in her full element because I feel like people are always so hyped about seeing her in battle.
Mhm.
and hyped to see what she does in battle.
Hmm.
So it's just like, oh, figuring out what she is outside of
Outside
that,
of
and
that,
then
yeah.
but then like once you jump into it or hop into it,
They're
it's
gonna keep
pretty
coming.
it keeps coming, so
Yeah.
um but yeah. And what about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Anything you wish you went back on?
like I feel like exactly the same. I think like I feel like you can tell there's a distinct difference in between like my first like portrayal as Hawks, which is like from the movie, and then like when he first came in the show, it was a long time, and I feel like I had the opposite effect from you. Like I took time away and like focused on other things, and then I was like, oh wait, I have to like get back into where I was for the movie because everybody seemed to like that. So how do I like tap back into that?
Mm.
And I felt like it took me a while to tap back into that. Like I had to be re-guided into where I was. And now that I've had so much history being Hawks, like I feel like it's just like second nature now. I can like be like, oh, that's where he lives. That's where he is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like you can hear a difference in like how I would say like how my reads sound, like how I guess fluid they are in season 5 and season 4. Like I think I had a distinct there's a distinct more playfulness. I feel like you can hear how much more comfortable I am um
Right.
in 5 than 4. 4 I was very nervous. I was very nervous. But interestingly enough,
Because
I
there was a lot of
wasn't.
pressure.
Yeah. But I wasn't nervous doing the game. The game I felt like I had because like there was like all this new content that hadn't been explored in the story. They were like hinting at stuff that was happening in the anime and in the manga. Like I had a lot of freedom to like do what I want, and I just kind of did that in the game. So
That was more prelay style, right?
yeah.
Like it wasn't like the whole dubbing, like you have to,
Yeah, it was prelay style. They like
yeah.
had
It's always
they
more comfortable that way.
Yeah, they gave
Cool.
me and I got to like change lines. Like I got to be like, "Oh, can we not say this and can we say that instead?"
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever
You're
feel
really
like
quiet, Elisa, by
Dang
the
it.
way.
oh,
Oh no,
okay.
I heard
Oh,
you.
there you
Never
are. There
mind.
you were. There you were.
Yay, I'm back. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, I was gonna ask, could we define d- she turned the reverb on. There we go. Um um for those that maybe not are familiar, what is prelay?
Oh.
So there's ADR and prelay. ADR is when you are dubbing over anything that has an original language. So it's what we do with our English dubs in anime. And then prelay is when you're not doing that, when you are the original voice and you are providing voice before animation, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So working on the video game versus the anime was definitely kind of a different
Yeah.
experience. Was it more sort of like just like an Excel sheet of like just
Exactly.
lines?
It was like
Yeah,
yeah, that's
classic.
exactly what it was actually. It was like an Excel sheet of like like here's what he says here and here's what he says here. And for me, I was like and it's kind of interesting. I felt like in getting to know the character, especially through that session, I was like Hawks wouldn't say that. Like, can we change it to something like cooler? Or like that sounds kind of corny. Can we change it to something not that? And like everyone at Okra, I think I was working with Raleigh, I think it was Steve.
Riley's
I
cool.
think yeah, one of them.
They're both cool.
They were very very open. They were like, yeah, it's your guy. Like whatever you want to do,
It's like
I'm
we're
with
not
you.
calling in.
Yeah. So yeah, I added in the like there's like specific dialogue when he talks to specific characters, and there was something he said to Endeavor, and I made sure to put in the "Don't bite my head off" line from the movie in the game so that it could be there forever. But I was like, oh, he wouldn't say that. Oh, let's do the thing from the movie. Like everybody would like that. Yeah. So it was really
Hmm.
cool, like being able to kind of have that like creative freedom with that character.
That's really cool. It doesn't necessarily always happen
Yeah,
in
it doesn't. Yeah,
work.
no, like the people aren't always like that open to like letting you kind of make those decisions. So I was very grateful and honored and blessed to be in a session like that where they were like, "This is your guy. Like, if you think there's a better line that suits him better, go for it."
Yeah, it's a collaborative
Yeah.
experience, or hopefully it is. And I think because as you were talking about how you grow from season 4 to season 5,
Mhm.
I feel like our characters grow with us as
Yes.
we grow. Like, this past year, I've gotten to do so many different things.
Mhm.
I went from having like basically little experience in ADR to having a lot more, and
Mhm.
getting to play with more nuanced characters, and even learning some things from other directors and my peers and everything. So that, when it came to revisiting Mirko, I felt like I got to apply all that,
Mhm.
and it made things much more easier in a
Yeah.
sense. Like, oh, I feel like I'm not struggling as much to, understand her. Like, I know how to do this now.
Mhm.
Did you feel that way with Hawks?
Yeah, like especially coming into 5. When we were doing 5, I was super ready, and I was like, nah, I know exactly what to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew, because I knew what was going to happen, I knew how I wanted to tackle all of his moments. And even if there was a moment that caught me by surprise, because I had spent so much time and lived in this in his head so much, I kind of was able to be like, this is probably how he'd react. Um like, oh, he'd probably do this or he'd probably do that. And then, of course, I always have Colleen steering me like, oh, you're probably too far this way. You're too far that way. Let's see what we could do. We could take him back here. But
I'm reel you in from that angst, sir.
yeah, just a little bit, so we can keep the mask on, right, that fine line. And yeah, but I do feel like I always have an idea of how he'd approach specific situations.
I'm sorry to deliver this kind of psychic damage, but all of this director talk just like what is your favorite and least favorite note to get?
um, oh, I know there are some. I know. I'm just trying to think.
I think I don't know if I have a least favorite note, but because I love notes. I actually kind of hate it when a director doesn't give me notes. Um, I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no way I was perfect frame one. Like there's absolutely no way that was a perfect read off jump. Um, but the thing I hate hearing directors say the most is, I'll take it, or like, that was good
Oh
enough.
yeah.
Good enough? I want to
Yeah.
die. If you tell me good enough, I want to die. Like, why? Yeah, like, oh, good enough. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you
Yeah.
mean? But my favorite note is always one that's like layered in something. Like, that was good. Now let's layer in that this is your dad, and like, you don't cry yet, but the thought of your dad leaving makes you want to cry, and you holding back the tears is the only way you're gonna keep him in the room. Like, if a director says that to me, I'm like, oh, we're here, we're in, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my
Yeah.
favorite direction is, yes, you can do a fifth take. That's another
I've
one that I
heard
really like.
tales from various directors of
Really?
their
I'm
many
like, I'm
takes.
I'm infamous for asking for more takes. That's hilarious, actually.
No, I think my least favorite, I think it's more of like a direction style than anything. I dislike hearing, oh, can you give me more of this? And it's not quite, I hate getting the same direction over and over where it's like, hey, can
Mhm.
you do more of this? Or hey, can you speed this up? And it's like, oh, especially anything that has to do with like speeding up and slowing down. Because I feel like to me, I think it's because I'm Latina.
Mhm.
Like they will tell me to slow down, right? And I will slow down, and they're like, and the engineer will like play it back, and it's like it's the same length, and I'm like, really?
I
I
hate that.
slowed down.
I
I
felt like I slowed
slowed
down so
down.
much. Yeah.
It's always, can I get that like 10% or like 20%? Can we take
Right.
that 10 or 20%? And I'm like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's
Hilarious.
like anything to do with that, it's like, but I love getting notes where it's like, okay, I need you to speed up, and the reason why you're speeding up is because you're anxious about how this character will react to what you're gonna say. Like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, that
Mhm.
resonates more with me.
Yes.
Or if you say, or if say I do a take and the director hears and he's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do here, So let's add this to it.
Yes.
Like I like being acknowledged in what I'm doing because then I know that the director and I are on the same page and that we are actually collaborating to make this work.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I like when they root their directions in emotions. If they're like, oh, like, can we add a little more? Like for example, I had a director I worked with. They gave me the slow down thing, right? But they were like, oh, maybe you're nervous about this, and that's what slows you down. Or maybe you're like, you're really sad about this, and that's what's going to slow you down. I was like, oh, I can root it in something like human and evocative. Yeah.
And that always helps more because it's like, because when you have something in your head, right? Like, okay, this is the beat I'm trying to hit. Like once you're given a different reason to say what you're saying, it's like, oh, then I can totally redo what beats I'm hitting here.
Yeah.
You know, because you just asked me to slow down what I already did. It's like I can't slow it down.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound the same. People don't consciously slow down or speed up to say things.
That was my natural rhythm.
So kind of taking it back, because there's now this idea that, like, you know, you have your idea of the stuff that you would do differently. You feel somewhat like, you know, kind of embedded in your character. Kind of reeling it back and rewind. This is the character that is dropped in your lap. How do you prepare to embody a superhero?
For me, I mean, I was already a fan of My Hero before I got the audition for Mirko. Like I knew what My Hero was about. I loved My Hero. I remember when I got the audition, I was reading the manga so that I could know more about Mirko outside of the scene that she is in. I was rewatching old episodes of My Hero to kind of remind myself of the essence of what the show is all about, and you know, just get that feeling of, oh hey, never give up, you know, you can be a hero too. Like I just getting that in my head so that, you know, I knew what Mirko would be all about, because I feel like all the characters are rooted in this never give up kind of thing. I don't know. And just listening to the music and getting in the mood and making notes. Back then I used to do a lot of character studies where I would just kind of delve into their heads. And yeah, and then spending way too many hours in the booth doing the auditions. Like, don't do that.
That's usually how that goes. Yeah, kind of similarly. I usually try to take a character and find myself in them. Like, in what ways can I connect this character through how we're similar? And I think in the ways we are similar, that way I can heighten how we're different. Like, wow, I totally would do that, but I know what me doing that is like. And yeah, like, and really having just like a creative idea and going for it. Like Hawk specifically, it was just like, be really cool. It was just like, be very, very cool. Like that's who he is. And I tried that and I didn't think it was gonna work. But apparently I have a cool voice. I have a voice that sounds like a cool guy. I don't know.
I mean, you are pretty cool.
Thank you. You know, I personally felt like at the time I sounded like a dork, but I have two vouches here.
I'm just imagining like Hawks with a dorky
With a
nerd
dorky
voice.
Maybe if he
Like
was
Carl Weezer.
Ah, jeez, I don't know. Don't bite my head off, Endeavor. I just now flew in. I'm gonna do the rest of the show that way, guys. Sorry.
It is.
Right. Get those bomb sphere swings, go.
Oh no.
Are like, please tell me that there are some outtakes somewhere in a blooper reel somewhere.
We don't even do those anymore.
I wish.
We're not allowed.
Not allowed. I wish though. I wish.
Oh boo. What is the sort of like, in terms of, we have a half-hour episode, right? How long does that actually take you in the booth, in, out,
Mhm.
you're done.
It depends on the loop count, how many like
Yeah.
particular lines your character has in that scene, and how many characters that episode focuses on.
Yeah.
So you could be in a 22-minute episode, but Hawks is only in it, or Mirko is only in a few scenes, and so that could be an hour session or a 30-minute session, or it could be like a Mirko focused episode, and that might be a
Huh.
4-hour session.
That's what I'm begging for. Never get it.
Oh, it'll come. It's coming.
Anyways, but for Mirko's scenes, I had 15-minute sessions, and I was done. So altogether, I've done 30 minutes of recording for Mirko.
Total.
Like no more than that. 30 minutes total. And
Legend.
she has
Mwah. Legendary. Look at that.
a good
30 minutes. one of the top 5 heroes in My Hero history.
Should be number one.
A fan
I don't
favorite.
understand.
A fan favorite
Exactly.
with like 7 lines.
I know. Yeah, no, normally, if you're playing a main character, and it depends how chatty your character is too. Like sometimes you'll play a main character and they don't talk. Like I play Miyuki, irregular at Magic High School. And she's considered a lead, and she's usually in every episode, but the most I'll have for her is maybe 150. Meanwhile, the Alejandro, who plays Tatsuya, the main character, has like 200 usually per episode.
Wow.
But a lot of my lines tend to be efforts, like, oh brother, oh brother, like stuff like that, like constantly. And so yeah, it's a lot of cues, but also it's done so quickly.
Yeah.
Like
that's the same deal with Kuroko. Like we had all these like 4-hour sessions planned, and I would be finishing very early because like half the session would be like Kagami talking and preparing for a game, and then the other half of the session would be like, maybe he'd have like 50 cues of talking, and then like the other 100 cues is just the basketball game and just grunts. And there's so many characters, of course, that like Kagu's not gonna get all the attention. And so we'd be done early because it's just all like grunts, it's just all like and then like at least 10
like
roars an episode.
yeah.
How do you recover from something like that? Because I imagine that between especially like battle sequences and efforts and stuff, depending on the length of a session, like that could wreak some havoc on your voice. So like in terms of like your like your actor's physical instruments, you know what I mean? Like how do you like take care of like your physical instrument like both before and after a session?
Stay hydrated is a big thing. Make sure you have tea. I usually have I never know what to call it, that Chinese honey syrup. Yeah, the nimjong. Yes, I'll make a tea of it, and then I'll put like ginger in there, and ginger crystals, because you suggested that, Zeno, so that's like my potion whenever I'm really struggling. And just have that handy, and when you know that you're maybe too strained, then like take a break. I usually don't, because I am very determined and I like getting things done.
The same. I break my body for my art. Break.
Yay!
Yeah. But yeah, same. Especially after a particularly strenuous session, they make the ninjom and lozenges too. So I'll take one of those after a session, and be like, yeah, like I'm just gonna not talk and just use this to recover. And I have a couple gargles if it's really bad. Like if I have to go to work the next day, my voice is like unworkable. There's like this miracle gargle that I have that won't really. If I did it maybe like the night before, it would probably make me workable the day of. But if I've had it where I've gargled like an hour before a session, and it didn't fix it, but it made it workable.
Yeah. See, for me, like I can like ruin my voice with like some screaming, whatever. As long as I sleep, I am fine. Like, so I normally end up,
I wish.
No, you know what? The only thing I don't get messed up by screaming sessions. I get messed up by using my high voice. Like when I voice like anytime when I voiced Miyuki in season 2, like I lost my voice for a bit because I was doing her voice and also sick, so I was like straining my voice too much because it's a very whispery, high-pitched voice that is not my voice at all. It used to be way up here, really high up there, and I can't even do it now. But yeah, no, that I couldn't really quite recover from. But any kind of screaming sessions like Marco, like that doesn't bother me. You know, I can do that.
The power. I'll do a screaming session and I'll like have to do Go the next day, and Go sounds like he's been through a couple years of puberty. Like, hey Ash, how you doing? Like, Lisa's like, are you okay?
Yeah, I mean that was gonna seg into my next question of like, you know, what are some like, you know, do as I say, not as I do, like bad voice actor habits.
Probably most of our habits.
Yeah, pretty much everything me and Anairis do, don't do.
Yeah.
Just chugging chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I'm so terrible at doing this. Like, I will have food before it's actually a whole meal, and I don't care. Even though you shouldn't be having meals or you shouldn't be having dairy, I don't care. I'm fine. Yeah, I see no problem.
I'm tempting fate, and I booked a session, and I bought tickets to an AEW wrestling match the night before.
Nice.
And it is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if you literally don't cheer, you might be fine. If you
it could be like a gene thing because you're Latina, so I feel like you won't need much to recover. Like, you're used to being loud.
That's true.
It's only if you go louder than you usually are.
That might be it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna chance it, and I'm just gonna have like a thermos full of throat coat just
there you go.
on standby.
Exactly.
Just like,
all the time. Just take a lozenge too. Just, you know, you'll be fully prepared.
Honey straight from the bear.
Yeah.
It only works if it's from the bear.
Literally.
Yep.
Literally.
So, as we're winding down on this sesh, I want to look forward a little bit, and I want to know if there is anything cool on the horizon that we should be looking out for, whether My Hero related or otherwise, that you can talk about, because
right.
Yeah, I'm like, what can I talk about? Well, there are things to look forward to that I can't talk about. I can say that.
Very true. Same here.
Big mood.
Is that one of the most annoying parts of the whole thing, is being like, I am so stoked about this thing that I'll be able to tell you about in 2 years.
Oh, this has nothing to do with My Hero, but Owl House season 3, we started recording. I don't even know if I can say that, but I mean, it's happening. It's confirmed.
You've already said it. Yeah,
already confirmed to be happening. But yeah, it's gonna be very good. And part 2 is coming out soon. And Big City Greens season 3. This is going to be very good. And that I know for sure I can say.
Let's see. How a Realist Hero rebuilt a kingdom, I think I remember that correctly, is getting a second part to its first season.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And also Irregular is getting more content with the Reminiscence arc, and that's also going to be not this season, the winter season. Is that what it is? And whatever it is next year, starting January. Oh, and Attack on Titan is having another part and everything.
Attack on Titan.
So lots of things coming up, mostly for next year.
Yeah,
anime related.
Anairis is hype man the whole show. Like, do whatever she says. Yeah, do whatever she says.
I love it. Is there, so instead of like, okay, so things we can't necessarily talk about just yet, but it was a new moon yesterday. Let's manifest.
Ew.
I hear it's a bad new moon to manifest, but let's do it anyway. What
is it? A Scorpio new moon?
Whoa. Let's not Scorpio slander in here.
No,
Not,
no, 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 no.
not do
Scorpio
that.
season's good. Scorpio season's good.
Yeah.
But looking forward, if we're not necessarily manifesting, we're just, you know, using the energy that we already have, being successful and just moving forward. Called shot. What are some things, like some characters or some kinds of projects that you were just like, this is what I want to do. I would love it if I could do this.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous to answer this question because there are clearly some things that I really want to do that I'm nervous to speak on.
Ooh.
Have that evil eye ready.
Yeah. um, I'll say in general. I'll do a couple things. Maybe I could shift energy one way or the other. But there are a couple of particular animated movies that are coming out that I'd love an opportunity to audition for. Namely the one being like Static. I know there's like a Static animated movie that's coming. That would be like really dope because I'm a big fan of Static. The Jujutsu Kaisen movie is coming out, which would be really dope. The trailer
Really
just
dope.
dropped and it looks amazing. So I'd love a shot at that. Those are kind of that's it. that's kind of it.
I think I mean, I have like some, I guess, franchises and stuff that I'd love to be a part of, but I feel like at this point, I just want to work on more creatively fulfilling things because
Agreed.
I feel like I've had some and then I haven't had some. So I want to have more consistently like creatively fulfilling things and
Agreed.
be able to experiment more and be able to really resonate with my characters or get to explore parts of myself that I haven't explored yet. I
Yeah.
always love doing that, and I feel like I haven't had the chance to in a few months. So that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Do you find that there are like some characters that kind of feel like they kind of fill your soul up, and you know some of them that are kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, but you usually don't book the ones that fill your soul up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like you do. I feel like, see, I was a writer before I was a voice actor, so the way that I think of characters is that whenever you make a character, you leave a little bit of yourself in it, like a little bit of your
Yeah.
soul is in that character. And I feel like the same thing applies to voice acting, where a little bit of your soul can be in it, and maybe even a large part of it, depending. But for the most part, there's always a little bit of you in everything that you do.
Agreed.
So you know, being able to you know, find characters that really resonate with you, that really speak to you as a person and let you explore parts of yourself that you don't like to explore. Like One Direct Priority. Rika is a character that, you know, has a background I can very much relate to. So getting to tap into that was very, you know, interesting and made me very vulnerable, and it was fun, you know.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about like maybe like this character, maybe there is a character that like speaks to your soul, but there is a character that you have right in front of you who you can pour your soul into. And instead of like having someone that kind of checks all those boxes, you can, you know, you and the character you're playing can kind of check each other's boxes because it's your opportunity to really live in them. Yeah.
Cool. And well, last but not least, tell the folks where we can find you. Where can we find you on the internet? What kinds of cool stuff are you doing nowadays?
In general, you can find me at Anairis_Q on Twitter, Instagram, basically anywhere else. And I gotta do a Streamily stream soon.
Hey,
I gotta schedule that, but otherwise, my fellow voice actor AJ Beckles has been bullying me into doing TikTok, so I might start doing that. I don't know.
will that also be at Anairis Q on TikTok?
Yes,
Look
yes,
out
at
for
Anairis_Q.
on TikTok. You can find me at Childish Gamzino anywhere. I'm often on Twitter, rambling and into the void. So
Talking about Shark Tale.
Shark Tale and Miracle and that's kind of it. That's the extent of my content.
That's weird.
Well, Anairis and Zeno, I know I learned a lot. I hope that everybody else in the chat enjoyed. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and taking this panel to the next level. I dare say we did go beyond plus ultra.
Ah, there it is.
Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully everybody has an excellent rest of their MAGWest. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.